Okay, so we went to a date night marriage strengthening activity a few weeks ago, and maybe months ago, and it was with the Gottmans. And the Gottmans are a husband and wife, Julie and John Gottman, and they are marriage experts. They have done decades worth of research about what makes marriages happy. John Gottman's probably the number one studied and quoted therapist when people are learning about marriage counseling. So he's amazing. He knows his stuff. He's just a really great resource. So we went to this evening with the Gottmans, and something that really stuck out to me was that, what are you laughing at?
I don't know.
Okay. Was that you don't have to be compatible to have a happy marriage. Julie Gottman kind of just said that in passing. They didn't really focus on it a lot. But it just really hit me and made me really happy, because there are times, and I feel like this is maybe more common than I think it is, but there's times in our marriage, and I'm guessing other people's marriages, where you just don't feel like you're compatible. Like, I like this and they don't. I want to do this and they don't. And I think I have a tendency to kind of fixate on that and be like, oh, like, he didn't laugh at my joke. Like, so-and-so laughs at my jokes. Or like, just little things like that. And even though it's not the norm, like, we do have things in common, but it's easy to fixate on those things.
Yeah, and so, for example, Catherine really loves face painting, and it's not my favorite thing to be face painted.
So, when I was starting out face painting, I needed something to practice on, and like, practicing on paper is not the same as practicing on a real face, because there's like bumps.
This face.
Yeah. And so
lots of bumps.
And so I asked Shane if I could face paint him, and I could tell he strongly did not want me to face paint him, but he let me do it dozens of times, which was really kind. And so Shane and I, we looked up this article about incompatibility and kind of what the Gottmans are talking about how you don't have to be completely compatible to have a happy marriage. And while we were reading it, we've realized we've already kind of been doing things to kind of help with parts of our relationship where we are incompatible. And I think it has really helped a lot. Like, how he lets me face paint him. Like, that is amazing. Like, who wants to get paint on their face right before they go to bed and have to wipe it off? Like, that's really kind of him. And I think it kind of boils down to like selflessness. But I think that's an important aspect of dealing with incompatibility, is being willing to do something that the other person likes, even though you don't like it, and you might even kind of hate it a little bit, but just kind of making those little sacrifices.
Yeah, what are some other examples that you've experienced?
So, like, we went on a vacation somewhere, and Shane loves Star Wars, like, so much.
Star Trek.
He loves Star Trek so much. And there was this museum that we went to, and they just happened to be doing an exhibit.
Yeah, it was this like
top notch,
super cool, like top notch Star Trek exhibit.
It was really amazing.
It was insanely awesome
for someone that loves Star Trek.
And Catherine went to it.
Yeah, and we were there for hours. And I didn't know anything about all these characters. Like, I had seen some things, but anyways, he was so excited, and we just went through and did a lot of stuff. Like, there's this like beaming thing, like or like this computer screen like beams you out of the picture and makes it look like you're, what's it called? Transporting to like anyways. And
Matthew and I geeked out for a long time.
And Shane was like, "This is so cool," and I'm like, "Okay, like, this is your thing." And I wasn't like, "You dork." I was just kind of like, "This is his thing. I'm going to support him." And
if Catherine had a choice, that wouldn't have been what we were doing. Well, she'd have a choice. She chose to go there when she saw it.
Yeah. And so someone gave us advice probably early on in our marriage to just like do that sort of stuff. But anyway, so those are some things that we've kind of tried doing to combat incompatibility. But we do have things in common too. Like, we both like playing tennis.
I learned to like playing tennis because it was important to Catherine. Same thing with skiing. I would never have gone skiing if it wasn't for Catherine because, one, I was always too embarrassed that I didn't know how to ski to start skiing, and I made a fool of myself.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what things I've done for you.
He let me play the penny whistle.
Oh yeah, he likes playing this little instrument thing that's like, like.
I am not good.
He's probably good. It's just a really high pitched sound. But anyways, so there's things that we like that are different, but you can still have a really happy marriage. And another thing, well, we haven't ever read that quote we were going to read. Do you want to get that?
Sure.
Yeah.
This is a good quote. This is by Tolstoy, and he said, "What counts in making a happy marriage is not how compatible."
It's not so much.
Yeah, what counts in making a happy marriage is not so much how compatible you are, but how you deal with incompatibility.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
So good. And then another quote by John Gottman. He says it's really important. A really important part of marriage is how much you respond to each other's bids for attention. Does your partner turn towards you with equal enthusiasm?
I think one application of that is like in these things when you're doing something that your spouse enjoys but you might not so much, is not just that you're doing it, but what is your attitude towards doing it? Are you just getting dragged along, and are you just not having fun, being negative the whole time?
Downer.
Yeah. Or are you investing attention into it? Are you asking questions? Are you talking about it? And are you allowing yourself to have fun, even if it's something that you wouldn't enjoy normally? And Catherine mentioned it earlier, but really being selfless or getting rid of selfishness really is the key to it all. Like, what matters to Catherine might not matter a whole lot to me, but how do I be there with her in the things that she enjoys and allow her to enjoy that and be with her? Like, that sort of unity can conquer so much of just, hey, we don't care about similar things.
Yeah. And like he was talking about too, like not being selfish. When you're thinking like, I hate this, I don't like this is so dumb that we're at this sporting event or something, you're really thinking a lot about yourself. But if that's like all you do is sacrifice for your spouse, that's not healthy either. But and it's not so much that it's something I enjoy and that he needs to enjoy it too, but just that he loves me and is happy to see me happy, or that I'm talking about something that's important to me and he's choosing to give me full attention and listen, even though he could freaking care less. Like when I talk about my experience with customer service, with like paying medical bills or talking to insurance companies or plumbers, or I get like so frustrated and I want to tell him all of the details about the phone call. Like, isn't this crazy that they said this and did this and blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't come home and think, man, I really hope Catherine tells me all the details of her customer service call today. But he listens, and it's so kind. And there's something that, Shane loves Irish history.
I do.
Loves Irish history. And when we first got married, I was like, oh my gosh, he talks about this a lot. Yeah. And
that's my nerd face.
Yeah. Anyways, but I really noticed, I think he led by example in this aspect of our marriage, but he was really good at just listening to me, and I could tell he was listening to me tell really boring stories. And like sometimes I would repeat myself and tell the same story twice. And he would listen so lovingly, and I could tell that he was not excited about it, but I could also tell that he was listening lovingly. And it was huge. It was so huge. And so that really inspired me to try to be better at listening to him lovingly. Because when he'd start talking about Irish history, I would be like, oh, I can't believe this is happening again. But then I would think about his example, and I would think, okay, like, I can be more loving like he is loving. So, yeah. So yeah, even if you have things that are incompatible, you can still work through it and still find ways to show each other love and to give them attention. A few years ago, maybe before we were married, I came across some book at the bookstore. I can't remember what it was called, but this guy was saying that he was counseling this couple, and they said, like, we don't have a lot in common. Like, he has his football nights, I have my girls' nights, we do bunco, he does this. Like, we just don't have a lot in common. And this therapist said, okay, well, you need to find ways to spend time together. And she was like, but we don't want to. Like, we have so many different interests. And he's like, well, you need to. And I thought that was really interesting. Just making time to be together, trying. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes. But I think making that sacrifice to spend time together really helps.
Yep.
Shane and we're done. This is the best video ever.